What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the all-new 2021 Chevy Trailblazer. So that name may be familiar to you guys. Chevy used to have a Trailblazer which ceased production in 2009, but they are using the nameplate and kind of reimagining it here for 2021. So we're going to be kind of taking a look at everything that this one has to offer, also talking about where it fits in Chevy's lineup. So I'll give you some size dimensions between its closest brothers in the lineup. And yeah, we'll go through every little feature here on the LT. So the lineup is as follows: the L, which is the base model, the LT, the Active, and then the RS. Now the Active and the RS are going to give you additional features as well as having some stylistic differences, some badging differences, and kind of new wheels and things like that. So unfortunately, we don't have one of those, but the second we get one on our lots, I'll be sure to make videos specifically on those trims. But again, the one we're looking at today is the LT. But it has some nice add-ons that we've put onto it, so we'll take a look at that inside, and I'll talk about where things could be upgraded or where there are upgrades over the base model. All right, let's start up front as always. Now you have two different engine options. The base model has a 1.2 liter turbocharged engine, 137 horsepower, 162 pound-feet of torque, 33 miles per gallon highway, 29 miles per gallon city. Everything else is going to have this engine, which is a 1.3 liter turbocharged engine. It gets 155 horsepower, 174 pound-feet of torque, 30 miles per gallon highway, 26 miles per gallon city. Additionally, the base model has a CVT transmission and is only available in front-wheel drive, whereas everything else has at least available all-wheel drive and has an automatic 9-speed transmission. Now, as far as size-wise goes, it fits comfortably between the Trax and the Blazer. The Blazer is a hair smaller than the Equinox. I've got a full review of that up in the card above, but it's a lot smaller than I thought it would be and a lot less premium than I thought it would be. Now, again, we are looking at an LT, so it doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but I just thought some of the cabin materials would be a little bit more, premium. But again, we're talking about a $27,000 car right here. So another thing that's super interesting, kind of, is that the headlights, you have available LED headlights, okay? You have standard LED daytime running lights and LED fog lights. Standard LED daytime running lights and standard LED fog lights. Available LED headlights. So that's what this has. Halogen headlights. Halogen taillights, LED DRLs, LED fogs. I guess the fogs are down here. And then these are probably the DRLs and these are probably the high beams. They have this weird like tri-split setup. I don't know. Looks kind of nice. It's kind of Blazer-esque. And a lot of the stylings here are Blazer-esque. You'll notice a ton of things if you're familiar with that vehicle. It also takes some inspiration from the Camaro, which the Blazer did as well, so that makes sense. So actually a pretty interesting front grille. You've got kind of this split section here with a big chrome piece that runs across to separate. Kind of this plastic perforated look to it with the Chevy bow tie. Chrome piece like I mentioned, and then down here, again, you've got more of that perforated with some just like long black dividers. And I don't know, it's unique. And then you have a satin piece down here. So again, very Blazer-esque, very Camaro-esque. Especially with this split design here with the lighting system. Now, no cameras or anything here in the front and no parking sensors either, unfortunately. So the LT here sits on 17-inch black machined aluminum wheels. You do have a couple different options there. You can go on the RS all the way up to an 18-inch wheel, and then down on the base, you can go all the way down to a 16-inch. So you've got a lot of different options there depending on what trim you get. I'm not sure if the actual wheel part looks different on those trims. I would assume so, but I've only seen this LT. So something I want to applaud Chevy for is giving us some standard safety features in this price bracket. I'm going to read to you guys what you get standard on this because it's pretty impressive. So you get standard automated emergency braking with pedestrian detection, standard lane keeping assist and lane departure warnings, and then you have available adaptive cruise control, rear cross traffic alert, rear park assist, available HD rear cameras, and you have standard IntelliBeam high beam assist. Not to mention you can add on side blind zone alert and things like that. Those are some really awesome standard safety features to have across the board at this price bracket. And I've always said that car manufacturers need to make safety features standard. Give everybody your best safety features. That is the most important part about driving, is being safe. And Subaru's been doing this across the board, giving plenty of eyesight features nearly standard, and Chevy is doing it here now with the Trailblazer, and I think going forward you'll see it on some of their lower tier models as well. Now, speaking of side blind zone alert, you have that built into your body colored side mirrors here. They also are heated and power folding, but you do have to manually fold them in, but you can power adjust them. Body color door handles over here with your little keyless access button that you can use to lock and unlock the car. Up top, you've got some roof rails. Here, these are some satin and black roof rails. No sunroof on this, but it may be available on the RS and the Active. Again, I haven't seen those, so it's kind of hard for me to judge, but I would assume that that would be at least an option on those. Another thing that's really cool about the Trailblazer that makes it super customizable is you can get different color combinations. So one body color and then one roof color. This one's not a good representation of that because it's just all black. We also have one that's all red, but you can kind of mix and match colors. Now, I'm sure they have like set ones you can do, but you could get like a tan body with a white top, or a red body with a black top. And I'll show you some different examples here on screen. But again, this one's not a great representation of that since it's all black across the board. Hyundai is doing a similar type of thing with their Hyundai Venue, and I'll put some pictures on screen here so you can see the comparison there. So taking a look at the back of the vehicle here, very Blazer-esque again. It kind of juts out in this kind of hatchback style look. You have this spoiler here to keep rain and snow off of your back windshield, but if it does get there, you do have this rear wiper. Nothing super fancy about the back end. It's a little less noticeable than the front end. You do have these, again, halogen taillights, but you have LED taillights available on the RS and the Active. But they're not that special, and that kind of caught me off guard because everything Chevy's been putting out lately has had really intricate sculpted taillights, and these are just very, very basic. So nothing to write home about there. You've got your Trailblazer badging, your all-wheel drive badging. You've got your brake lights down here, parking sensors as well that help with that, the rear cross traffic alert, different things like that. Again, a satin piece to mirror the front. Chevy badging, LT badging. I mean, it's just very kind of plain compared to the rest of the vehicle. Again, one of the things that you can have as an option on the higher trims is the hands-free liftgate, and it has the little bow tie projection onto the ground for where you need to kick your foot or swing your foot. Not here on the LT, unfortunately, and it is not, it's a button push, but it's kind of a manual liftgate, so you have to push the button to unlock it and then pull up. It doesn't go on its own. And you have the space here where the button would normally be to put it back down, but again, this is the manual gate, so no such button there. But you can open it with the key fob as well, which is a nice feature to have. You guys want to see another really weird design choice? Look at this rear vision camera. It's on the bottom latch of the rear gate. So if you shut it, check this. It's all the way down there, right above the license plate. How bizarre is that? So when you're opening the trunk, you basically put your hand right on the rear vision camera. Oh man. So let's talk about the rear space. Now I will put on screen right here the available cargo space with the seats up and the seats down. I've got some nice, decent actual storage space back here. So for comparison, I have a 2019 Subaru Crosstrek, and my trunk is about this same size, but I feel like I can fit more in this trunk. And I don't know if it's just because I'm looking right at it, but it is a nice spacious trunk. Again, you've got some cargo hooks here for what I assume you could put a cargo net there if you wanted to. Underneath this fabric part, you've got your spare tire and your tools. And then again, you have 60/40 split folding seats that you can lay down if you need that extra space. So pretty spacious trunk for what it is. Again, we're going to talk about where it fits in the lineup as far as direct number comparison to the Trax and the Blazer. So you'll be able to see kind of where this fits and what you're going to get at the different price points. But we'll get to that in a second. Let's go ahead and hop inside and check out the cabin. All right, so now that we're inside the cabin, you'll start to notice what I'm talking about when I say it has kind of less than premium materials. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't fit into the price bracket. But let's start up front as we always do with the steering wheel. Now, this is kind of a hard touch rubber or plastic steering wheel. No leather wrapped, no accent stitching, nothing like that. You've got your cruise control buttons on the side, not adaptive cruise control in this case, but available on higher trims. And then your voice assistant and your controls for adjusting the monochromatic screen right between the gauges. So no heated option, like I said, you know, lighting controls, wiper controls. You got lighting controls on the side here. You have your mirror controls, your window controls. Only your driver's side window is an automatic, but the other ones can go down, power mirrors. As far as interior kind of design goes, the cabin is very minimal, and I actually like that. And I would assume that on some of the higher trims like the Active and the RS, we'll see more accents and more color and stuff like that. But this is a very plain, just all black with a couple accents being these silver chrome accents around the vents. But nothing too fancy here, silver door handles as well. So now past the steering wheel, you've got a simple gauge cluster, nothing fancy, just 2 standard gauges, and then that monochromatic screen that I talked about that kind of gives you the time and temperature and things like that. Above that, they added a little notch where you can actually see your warning lights, so they moved that kind of off of the gauges themselves. Moving on over, you've got your AC vents up here, very similar to the Blazer. Moving on down from that is the infotainment center. Now this is Chevy's Infotainment 3 system, so it's got some nice upgrades to it. It's that nice, clean, flat UI design, nice smoothness on the screen, very functional applications, all that kind of good stuff, Wi-Fi, everything you'd come to expect. There are a couple nice changes though. One of them being that you can actually connect 2 Bluetooth devices at the same time. That's a first for Chevy. And you also, I'm not sure if it's out currently, but it's either out right now when you're watching this video, or it will be out in the summer of 2020 via software update, but you'll actually be able to use wireless Apple CarPlay for the first time ever in a Chevy. That's a huge deal. All right, now opinion time, real quick. I'm not the biggest fan of wireless CarPlay, and here's why. When you use CarPlay, it actually, all the processing power and all the data transfer comes from your device. So if you're using wireless CarPlay, there's nothing actually charging your device. So all that processing power, all that transmission of data is just gonna be draining your battery quicker and quicker. So the fact that you had to plug in before helped with that data speed connection and helped keep your battery charged while you're on a trip or something like that. Now, the only caveat is if you have a wireless charging pad, that changes everything, because then you can place your phone on the wireless charging pad, use wireless CarPlay, and you're all good. You're still charging the battery at the same time. So that could be nice. This specific trim does not have a wireless charging pad, but I think it is an option on higher trims. So when that's the case, wireless CarPlay is great. When you don't have a wireless charging pad, I still recommend plugging in because you're going to be draining your phone battery quicker than you probably want to. So that's my little rant on that. But inside the infotainment center, now you have a standard one that's 7 inches, and then you have the optional 8-inch one. This is the optional 8-inch one. You've got radio, phone, Bluetooth, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, OnStar, Wi-Fi, climate control, all that kind of good stuff, and that Bluetooth, that double Bluetooth that I talked about. So let's kind of hop in there. Audio gives you AM, FM, and then USB connection as well. Sirius XM also. Phone, connected Bluetooth device like we said. Wi-Fi is Wi-Fi, so it's a Wi-Fi hotspot. You do have to pay for that after your free trial is up. I do recommend it though, it's very inexpensive. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, OnStar, climate controls. So you've got, let's see, got to turn the car on for this. You've got software climate controls here, so you can turn that climate control on, and then you have the ability to turn the heat up and down, turn the fans up and down, change where the heat's coming out, and the AC is coming out. And I actually like this a lot, because it is helping transition us into fully software controls. Now I know a lot of people hate that, and you can leave me a nasty comment if you really have to, but I do like software controls, and I think that that is the future, unfortunately, for those that love hardware controls. But speaking of the climate, it is just an automatic climate control system, not dual zone or anything like that. That may be an option on higher trims, but it's not here on the LT. Moving down past that, you've got your connection. So you've got a 12-volt outlet, USB-C port, USB-A port, 3.5mm jack. Then you have just this rubber mat in this little section here with this nice meshy pattern on the sides, which actually looks kind of nice. Auto start stop engine button, lane keep assist button, traction control, all-wheel drive button, and then you have this little checkered flag button. I'm still trying to figure out what the checkered flag actually stands for. There's no manual in this car, so I couldn't really look it up. But if I figure that out, I'll put a little insert here so you guys know, or I'll put it on screen. And a quick update on the checkered flag button. That is actually race mode. Shout out to Mike for letting me know that. It basically changes the transmission. It changes the shift point, makes the pedal more responsive, and tunes your suspension a little bit. I'll drive it for a sec and see if I notice any difference, but I'm gonna imagine that I won't. notice much of a difference in this 1.3 liter turbocharged Trailblazer. Moving on down past that, like I said, you have a 9-speed automatic transmission with this 1.3 liter turbocharged engine on everything but the base model. So that's what you got here. Not a leather wrapped shift knob or anything like that, just a hard plastic shift knob, very similar to the steering wheel. You do actually have an electronic parking brake, which is a nice feature to have. That's usually more of a standard feature, but you do have it here, and it's in this nice little plastic, kind of matte plastic look to it. Some cup holders as well as a slot for a phone. Now, my phone does not fit. I have the iPhone 11 Pro Max 6.3-inch screen, I think, and that does not fit, but if you have anything smaller than that, it should fit just fine. Moving on back from that, you have a nice little compartment that you can put stuff, so I'd probably end up putting my phone in there or in this front compartment here. Inside the center console here, you have this tray with some nice kind of storage that you could put cards or change into, and if you remove the tray, there's a deeper pocket in here if you want to put something a little bit more substantial down in there. Over here in front of the passenger seat, you have this nice pocket here with this rubbery grip that you could put a phone. Mine barely fits, but you could put a phone there. And then inside the glove box, nothing special, just a standard glove box. Up top, you've got an auto-dimming rearview mirror, as well as your OnStar controls and your dome light controls right there. So as far as seating goes, you've got kind of these two-tone cloth seats here with this kind of black and then this gray textured pattern to it. I would assume on higher trims you'd have leather seating, or at least leatherette seating options, but here, unfortunately, you don't. The driver is a 10-way power adjustable driver seat with lumbar support, which is actually awesome, and the passenger is just a 4-way manually adjustable seat. Same kind of seating in the back with the two-tone with the accent stitching. No heated option, unfortunately, and no vents, but you do have some nice I/O ports. You've got a 120-volt outlet, as well as a USB-A port and a USB-C port in the back. So maybe by all the B-roll I've been showing you guys, you've been able to tell kind of the lack of premium materials. But again, we're talking about a vehicle at the price point of about $28,000. So could it be better? Yeah, but you know what? It's okay for where we sit price-wise, especially with the amount of standard safety features and technology that is available. All right, now let's talk about dimensions. Again, we're gonna be comparing the Trax, which sits directly below this, the Trailblazer, which is what we're looking at now, and the Blazer, which sits just a little bit above it. And I'm gonna give you front headroom, legroom, and shoulder room, rear legroom, shoulder room, and headroom, and trunk space, and then overall length, width, and height of the vehicle. So let's start with the Trax. So the Trax comes in at 167.2 inches long, 69.9 inches wide, and 64.9 inches tall. It has 18.7 cubic feet of cargo space with the rear seats up, and with the rear seats down, you get 48.4 cubic feet of cargo space. In the front, you have 39.6 inches of headroom, 40.8 inches of legroom, 54.1 inches of shoulder room. And in the back, you have 38.8 inches of headroom, 35.7 inches of legroom, and 50.7 inches of shoulder room. Now, the current Trailblazer we're looking at now is about 6 inches longer than the Trax. It is about 2 inches wider than the Trax, and is actually only about an inch taller than the Trax. So your dimensions here are length, 173.5 inches long, 71.2 inches wide, and 65.2 inches tall. As far as cargo volume goes, we looked at it earlier, but you've got 25.3 cubic feet of cargo space with the rear seats up, and with the rear seats down, you get 54.4 cubic feet of cargo space. So you actually get an additional about 7 cubic feet of space here in the Trailblazer versus the Trax. Now let's take a look at the actual passenger volume. Front headroom 40 inches, front legroom 40.9 inches, and front shoulder room 55.4 inches. So you get basically about the same front passenger volume in the Trailblazer and the Trax. Now in the back, you have 38.4 inches of headroom, 39.4 inches of legroom, and 53.8 inches of shoulder room. So really, you get about 4 additional inches of legroom, which I think makes a significant difference, but that's about it as far as the Trailblazer versus the Trax. Now let's bump up to the Blazer. So this is the biggest of the three. As far as size goes, it's about 18 inches longer than the Trailblazer. about 5 inches wider and about 2 inches taller. So the vehicle size for the Blazer, 191.4 inches long, 76.7 inches wide, and 67 inches tall. For cargo volume, you get 5 additional cubic feet with the rear seats folded up, and then with the rear seats folded down, you get 10 additional cubic feet of cargo space versus the Trailblazer. So cargo volume comes in at 30.5 cubic feet, rear seats up, 64.2 rear seats down. Now, as far as passenger volume goes on the Blazer, you get 39.8 inches of headroom, 41 inches of legroom, and 59.1 inches of shoulder room. That is actually less headroom than the Trailblazer, about the same legroom, and only about 4 inches more shoulder room. Now, as far as the rear of the vehicle goes, you have the exact, essentially, you get 0.2 inches more headroom in the rear, 0.2 inches more legroom in the rear, and only about 5 inches more shoulder room. So really the interior volume is about the same between the Trailblazer and the Blazer. You just get a much bigger vehicle with the Blazer. All right, guys, and that is the 2021 Chevy Trailblazer. Drop a like on the video if you loved it. Tell me in the comments down below, what do you think about it? You like it? You don't? You wish it wasn't all black and had two-tone like all the pictures? Let me know in the comments down below. Let's have a conversation about it. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to be among the first to see my full review of the Active, the RS, and every other 2021 Chevy the second they hit our lots. We'll see you in the next one.